Season 2 of Ozark entered the Emmy race in a big way this year. I'm Zach Laws of Gold Derby, and with me now is Julia Garner. She just received her first Emmy nomination as Best Drama Supporting Actress for her role as Ruth Langmore. And first of all, Julia, I just want to ask you, it's so interesting how this character has developed from the first season to this season. I mean, when we first see her, she's working as a maid in a hotel. She's a petty crook, and she's really become this strange kind of moral center in the show. Can you talk a bit about how this character has developed over the course of these 2 seasons?
I think the thing with Ruth is she's so complex, and I think that's what I loved so much about this character and why I wanted to play her in a way. How complex she was. So that was one of the reasons why I wanted to play Ruth. But yeah, I think it's just the writers are just so good at planning things out and having, that's a really, that's the writers are really just great at, writing and just having the characters evolve in a way. And they, I feel like a great writing and great acting and great art and movies. I don't view it, it's not like characters, it's like a person in a way. It's like people evolve and people change and just like Ruth is going to evolve in a way. Just like all the other characters. So I hope that answers the question, though.
No, you were great. I mean, one of the things that really struck me, and it's really come to fruition in this season, are the maternal instincts that she feels towards her cousins, particularly Wyatt. Can you talk just a bit about that relationship between Ruth and her cousins?
Specifically Wyatt, I think, she does care about 3, obviously, but, it was really probably growing up, it was really the 3 of them. A lot of them, they didn't have a back, and Wyatt and Ruth to each other, they're each other's rock. That's why it's such a crucial, why it's such a crucial, so crucial for Ruth is because that's her rock. Ruth never had stability in a way, so that Wyatt was the only sense of stability. And as soon as things are getting kind of shaky in a way with her and Wyatt, it really just messes with her big time, and you're going to see it in season 3. So it's really sad.
It's interesting because Ruth sees so much potential in Wyatt, and she sees that he can find a better life for himself outside of the trailer park and outside of the Ozarks and outside of this life of crime that the Langmores have led. Do you think that Ruth herself has the potential to maybe start a better life for herself, or do you think that she's just she feels that everything is kind of messed up for her, and so the best that she can do with her own life is to perhaps get something better for Wyatt?
I think it's a combination of everything. I think she feels like she can get something better for Wyatt because there's certain things that Wyatt is better than, he's well read and Ruth's not, and all these things, and that she'll never be. But I also think that one hand, she feels like she's quicker in a lot of ways than most people, but at the same time, she feels like she's stuck and she feels like she can't move forward. That is a struggle that she'll have for probably the rest of her life, that internal feeling, that shame, that she's a Langmore in a way, that no matter how well she does, she feels like people don't respect her in a way. So it's a combination of all those things, and I think that's why the character is so great. If you really think about Ozark, I feel like each character has an identity struggle in a way. Each character, every character on the show. So she definitely has a struggle with her identity, and I think meeting Marty made it kind of, I don't want to say worse, but he kind of opened her eyes in a way, thinking like, oh, like that's like a normal family, or oh, that he's a professional person, or oh, he's the first man to ever talk to me with respect, in a way, and she's not used to, she's not used to that, in a way. So she doesn't really have a strong sense of identity, but she's a survivor. I think that's really what it is, more than anything.
Right. She's not book smart necessarily, but she's very street smart, and she's very savvy about what it takes to, survive, self-preservation, and how to, the ways that she's able to run these businesses. I mean, it's fascinating to watch.
Yeah, and a lot of Ruth's thing is she feels ashamed about a lot of things. She shames and she blames. I think that's where and it goes hand in hand. That's where her crazy behavior sometimes comes in, is she'll feel ashamed about something or who she is or whatever the circumstance is, and then she'll start blaming the other person by acting out. So that's a very important quality that that has to be in there to playing Ruth. And I also think that another thing is taking the mask on and mask off type of thing that goes with shame and blame. It ties in all together in a way.
One of the fascinating points of conflict this season is when her father gets out of prison and returns home. It's so interesting because on the one hand, she loves her father and she feels this need to make him proud of her. But on the other hand, he's an incredibly destructive force in her life. Can you talk a bit about that dynamic between the two of them?
I mean, it's as simple as I know she loves her father, but she doesn't like her father. Every person loves their family member, even if their family member did the most awful, there's still a feeling in there, and a strong feeling, but you don't necessarily have to like them. And I think that's the most heartbreaking thing, is she loves her father. She doesn't like him, but she wants to like him. She wants to like him. She wants him to like her back, not just love her in a way. So that's the thing that she's struggling with. And she wants that approval. She wants the dad's approval. And I think that's what's so complex with the whole Marty thing, is because Marty gives her that, she wants that approval from Marty too, except he actually gives it to her from time to time, more so than her father has ever, in a way. And then obviously Cade gets jealous at that and tries to step in, or, whatever season two was about. But yes, I think that's mainly the thing, is that she loves her father, but she really wants to like him too. And he makes it very hard for her to also like him, in a way, because he's not kind to her. He's not
Yeah, I mean, he's an incredibly abusive individual, but at the same time, it's like, yeah, a little bit. But you really do, like, you seek out that kind of that approval from him, and the other problem is that, like, in order to get approval from him, you have to rob boats and steal drug money and all this stuff. I mean, it perpetuates this sort of life of crime that she's trapped in.
Well, she's trying to get away from.
Yeah.
She wants to move up, and I think that was another thing that I was so attracted to this character when I got the script for the audition. I just love how curious Ruth is, and because of that curiosity, there's a sense of this hopefulness, in a way. And I think there's something very pure about being hopeful and endearing, in a way, and that's why Ruth has her moments where she can be really light, in a way, with the heavy show, and it's because there's a hopeful quality about her, even if it doesn't seem like it. But if you really watch it carefully, she always has a reason to get up in the morning, to go to work and work really hard, because she's hopeful that something's going to come out of it. Even in season 1, in the bathroom stall scene, I just remember all of a sudden that, she always kept on saying that word, when you got opportunity, you got to go and you got to take, she's very hopeful. That was very attractive. I was very attracted to that, because that's an attractive quality to have with, as to have curiosity and to be hopeful, I think, but not delusional. She's not delusional. There's a difference.
Right. I'm guessing that was maybe your key in your way into the character. I mean, this woman is so different from how you seem in real life. I wonder how you were able to find yourself in her. Was it that element of hope? Was that it?
I think so. Yeah, I'm a very hopeful person. I'm also curious. That's a big thing for me. And a lot of the characters that I pick, they all have this one thing in common. I like curious characters, but I also like that in people, in a way, because curiosity, you can be super well educated, but if you're not curious, there's only so much depth in person, in a way, if there's no curiosity. So, but the thing that I identified with Ruth was, in the end of the day, she's a kid, she's a child, and she's young. She's a young woman. She's a girl. She's a girl. She's not like that. That's the most heartbreaking part about the whole thing, is that you forget that she's a child, in a way, and that's why all the little details, even like the cat watch. I'm sure everybody it was just an important quality, because she might be threatening to kill somebody or to, hurt somebody, but then she has like a cute cat watch, and you're like, horrifying. But it's also just heartbreaking at the same time. You're like, ooh, this girl,
Right. I wanted to ask you about your episode submission. You submitted the season finale, the Gold Coast. Why did you choose that episode specifically?
Well, it was hard. It was hard because I think all the episodes are great on Ozark, so it was definitely hard. I forgot that I submitted that.
I'm glad I was going to remind you of that.
Yeah, thank you. But I think, at least for Ruth, a lot happens in that episode that was building up for the last 2 seasons, in a way. And what was building up was that conversation that she had with Wyatt. And it was, season 2, another thing beside her father that she was struggling. She wasn't just struggling with her father, but she was also struggling with herself, that she went to bed with a lie, a terrible lie, that it was her fault. And she woke up in the morning with a terrible lie, and it was just eating her up inside. And then by the time that scene hit, that moment hit with her with Wyatt, it just exploded. It was like a bomb. It was like a word bomb. She just couldn't keep her mouth shut. She just went on about how, I don't want to give, but how she did it, in a way. So, and it was eating her up. I think that episode, you really saw it eating her up. Everything was eating her up. And then she kind of goes full circle and kind of gets herself back and says to her dad, go away. You've been awful to me, whatever she was saying. I don't remember, it was a year ago, but you know what I'm saying. And then she goes to Wyatt and admits that.
Right. Watching it again, I took another look at it last night to get ready for this. And it strikes me that, there's these 3 men in her lives. There's Marty Bird, there's her father, and then there's Wyatt. And in this one episode, all of these relationships are dealt with in their own unique ways. There's all these kinds of threads that have been going for the last 2 seasons in these different relationships. And it seems like all of this kind of comes to a head in this episode. And it makes me wonder about what we can maybe expect for next season. I mean, I don't want to spoil anything, but at least there's going to be some new dynamics, to say the least, I can expect.
I think for season 3, it's mainly about how she is, trying to go back with just herself. I mean, she was, for such a long time, she was alone and by herself for so many years in a way, and not dependent on anybody. And then Marty came in, and she kind of became dependent on him in a weird way. Her dad came in, she became dependent on him. Wyatt, not that she's dependent on Wyatt, but like in a different way. So I think this season she's trying to depend on herself more, and I think she's in full work mode in a way. Because that's the thing, and when I'm saying full work mode, the thing with Ruth is that as soon as a problem hits her and it's something like that is like it could shake up anybody, she doesn't let it sit in a way. She's just going to be like, okay, I'm going back to work. I'll talk about it later. Like, she's very much like that. So the fact that her dad died, like, she's like, I'll deal with it later. Like, and then it kind of bottles up in a way, So yeah. I think that's a big thing for next season.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see how it turns out.
There's some new things, but I can't give that away. So.
Oh, sure, no, I suspect. Can you tell us at least like how far into the you guys are shooting right now? I guess. Can you give us
we're on episode 6, so
okay.
Movies are going to get very heavy, very very heavy. It's always in the middle. It's always like, oh god.
Right. Before I let you go, let me just ask you. I mean, this is your first Emmy nomination. You also were nominated for a couple of SAG Awards earlier this year, both for you individually and for the ensemble, as well as a Critics' Choice nomination. What does that recognition mean for you?
It's I'm so grateful, and it's amazing. It's not, I don't want to say weird, that's not the right word, but it's surreal. Like I can't wrap my head around it. It's wonderful. But yeah, I don't know. I still can't believe it in a way. But
wow.
That's how, it's as simple as I still can't believe it. Yeah.
I have to assume everyone on Ozark's kind of happy this year. I mean, you guys did well last year, but this year, I mean, you're in for series. Jason's back. Laura Linney's in. I mean, it really seems like voters caught on to the show and recognized its quality this year.
It's honestly, it's such a compliment. Speaking how much amazing, there's so many amazing TV shows that are out right now. It's such a hard time in TV in a way. Like there's a lot of great shows. So the fact that people are watching it from start to finish is already like, that's a big deal in this day and age in TV, because there's so much good TV out there. But the fact that it's getting all this recognition it's again, it's surreal. It's like I still can't wrap my head around it. So.
Well, Julia, thank you so much for your time, and congratulations on your Emmy nomination. I'm so looking forward to seeing what season 3 is like.
Thank you so much. I thank you.
You're welcome. And thanks to all you at home for watching. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe button below, and make sure you visit us at goldderby.com for all the latest Emmy news.